Numbers have always held a strange power over me. The way they line up, tell stories, reveal truths. But I never expected them to tell me the story of my husband's betrayal. Not like this. Not with 6 perfect zeros staring back at me from my laptop screen where my savings account balance should have been. I refresh the page again. And again. The truth doesn't change. Ryan? My voice echoes through our too-perfect suburban home. Can you come here for a minute? He appears in the doorway of my home office, coffee mug in hand, wearing that easy smile that used to make me feel safe. What's up, Ong? The college fund is gone. The words taste like acid. All of it. Every penny I've saved for Emma's future. He takes a slow sip of coffee. Too slow. Oh, that. I meant to tell you, I had to use it for Mom's house down payment. The market's crazy right now, and we couldn't risk losing the perfect place for her. The room tilts sideways. 10 years of careful saving, of saying no to vacations and new cars. Of working overtime and weekends, all of it gone without so much as a conversation. You took our daughter's future to buy your mother a house? Don't be dramatic, Angela. We have time to build it back up. Mom needs this now. You know how stressed she's been about finding the right place. I look at him, really look at him, and see something I've been blind to for years. The way his jaw tightens when I question anything involving Helen. The slight defensive hunch of his shoulders. The practiced casualness in his voice. Did Helen know this was Emma's college fund? His silence is answer enough. Where is she now? I keep my voice steady, though my hands are shaking. At the new house. She's meeting with the decorator. He sets his mug down, finally dropping the casual act. Look, I know you're upset, but this is what families do. We take care of each other. And what about taking care of Emma? Mom's already talking about leaving the house to Emma in her will. It's an investment in our family's future. I want to scream that Helen is 68 and healthy as a horse, that Emma will be long past college before any inheritance materializes. Instead, I close my laptop with deliberate care. I need some air, I say, standing up. Don't wait up. As I grab my keys and walk out, I'm already planning. Ryan and Helen might think they've won, but they don't know me very well if they think I'll let them steal my daughter's future without consequences. Some betrayals you forgive. Others you survive. And some? Some you make them regret. I drive aimlessly through familiar streets until I find myself parked outside Lisa's house. The porch light flicks on before I reach the door, and she's already holding 2 glasses of wine. You look like hell, she says, ushering me inside. Remember when I told you Helen was pushing Ryan to buy her a house? I sink into her worn leather couch. Turns out they found the perfect solution. My solution. Emma's college fund. Lisa's glass stops halfway to her mouth. He didn't. Oh, but he did. And the best part? Helen's already planning to leave the house to Emma. You know, when she dies. Sometime in the distant future when Emma's done needing an education. That manipulative witch. Lisa sets her glass down hard enough to slosh wine onto her coffee table. She's been working toward this for years, hasn't she? The question triggers a cascade of memories, Helen suggesting private school for Emma, then acting hurt when we couldn't afford it. The constant hints about Ryan's childhood home being too small for her needs. The way she'd touch my arm and say, "Dear, I know you're trying your best with Emma, but..." Last Christmas, I say slowly, I overheard them in the kitchen. Helen was crying about feeling unsafe in her neighborhood, and Ryan promised he'd find a way to help. I thought he meant he'd help her look for a safer place within her budget. Not raid his daughter's future. My phone buzzes. Another text from Ryan. Emma's asking where you are. Come home so we can talk about this rationally. Rationally, I repeat, showing Lisa the message. Like I'm the irrational one for being upset about theft. What are you going to do? I take a long sip of wine, remembering the way Helen smiled at me this morning when she stopped by to borrow Emma for shopping. That smile probably meant something different now. First, I need to understand exactly what they've done. Ryan's a real estate agent, he knows how to hide paper trails. But Helen. I feel my lips curve into something that's not quite a smile. Helen loves to talk. Especially about her victories. Angela. Lisa's voice carries a warning. Don't do anything you can't undo. They already did that part for me. I stand up, suddenly energized. I'm just going to give my dear mother-in-law what she wants, quality time with her favorite daughter-in-law. And maybe learn a few things along the way. Just remember Emma's watching everything. Trust me, I say, gathering my keys, everything I do from now on is for Emma. And when I'm done, Helen will wish she'd never taught me the importance of family loyalty. The wine has left a bitter taste in my mouth, but for the first time since seeing those zeros, I feel steady. Focused. Ready. The realtor's office feels colder than I remember. Mark Reynolds sits across from me, his usual easy smile replaced by something grimmer. I've known him since college, long before Ryan and I met, which makes what I'm about to ask even harder. I need to see the paperwork on Helen's house purchase. Mark shifts in his chair. Angela, you know I can't. My money bought that house, Mark. My daughter's college fund. I slide my phone across his desk, showing him my emptied account statement. Ryan used his position at the agency to hide this from me. I need to know how deep this goes. He studies the statement, then me. Jesus Christ. He types something into his computer, frowning. The purchase was structured through a trust. Helen's the beneficiary, but... He stops, looking uncomfortable. But what? Ryan's name is on everything. The trust, the deed, even the utility setups. Helen's technically just a tenant. The pieces click together with nauseating clarity. He's using my money to build his own investment portfolio. There's more. Mark turns his screen toward me. The purchase price is inflated by almost 30% above market value. The seller is a holding company owned by. He pauses again. Let me guess. Ryan? Mark nods. He's basically paying himself a massive commission using your money, then writing it off as a loss on the holding company's taxes. My hands are steady as I take notes, but my voice sounds distant to my own ears. How long has he been doing this? The holding company was established 3 years ago. Right after you quit your job to stay home with Emma. 3 years. While I was cutting coupons and shopping at discount stores. My husband was building his own private empire with money meant for our daughter's future. I need copies of everything. Angela. Mark leans forward. What are you planning? Nothing illegal. I meet his eyes. Just making sure everyone gets exactly what they deserve. He starts printing documents. Ryan could lose his license over this. The agency would have to report him. I know. And for the first time, I realize I don't care. The man I married wouldn't have stolen from his own child. That man doesn't exist anymore, maybe he never did. My phone buzzes with a text from Helen, coming by to pick up Emma for our weekly grandmother-granddaughter lunch. So blessed to have this special time with her. I text back, actually, Helen, why don't I join you both today? We have so much to catch up on. Mark hands me the stack of papers. Be careful, Angela. People who are capable of this level of deception. Don't worry about me. I tuck the documents into my bag. I learned from the best, remember? And unlike them, I'm not doing this for greed. I stand up, straightening my spine. I'm doing it for justice. The restaurant Helen chose is exactly her style, expensive enough to impress but not so exclusive that she can't lord it over her bridge club friends. Emma bounces in her seat between us, chattering about her science project while Helen pretends to listen, her eyes constantly checking her phone. Ryan says the movers are confirmed for next week, Helen announces, cutting through Emma's explanation of photosynthesis. We should discuss the housewarming party. I take a slow sip of water. Next week seems rushed. Have all the papers been finalized? Oh, Ryan handles all that boring business. She waves her hand dismissively. Emma, darling, wouldn't you love to help grandmother decorate her new house? We could make it our special project. Emma's face lights up, but before she can answer, Helen's phone rings. She answers immediately, her voice honey-sweet. Yes, we're having lunch right now. Of course, I'll tell her. She ends the call, her expression shifting to practiced concern. Ryan's worried about you, Angela. He says you've been acting unstable. Even Mark Reynolds called him, expressing concerns about your behavior this morning. My fork freezes halfway to my mouth. The betrayal stings, Mark choosing professional loyalty over friendship. Or maybe Ryan's influence runs deeper than I thought. Emma, sweetie, Helen continues, why don't you go check out the dessert display? Grandmother needs to talk to Mommy about grown-up things. Once Emma's out of earshot, Helen's mask slips. Ryan's prepared to file for emergency custody if you keep causing trouble. Think carefully about your next move. The threat lands like a physical blow, but I force myself to maintain eye contact. Interesting timing, Helen. Right after I discover the truth about the house purchase. Truth? She laughs softly. The truth is you're a stay-at-home mother with no income, showing increasingly erratic behavior. Who do you think the courts will believe? The respected real estate agent or the bitter housewife? You really think you'll win? Oh, darling. She reaches across the table to pat my hand. I already have. Emma will have her college fund when I decide she's ready for it. And you'll learn what happens to people who try to come between me and my son. Emma returns, proudly describing the chocolate cake she wants. I watch her, my daughter who trusts so completely, and something shifts inside me. This isn't just about money anymore. They're trying to take everything. Actually, sweetheart, I say, standing up, we need to go. Mommy just remembered something important. Helen's smile doesn't waver. Don't do anything foolish, Angela. Think of Emma. I am thinking of Emma. And for the first time, I understand that playing fair isn't an option anymore. Not when they're willing to use my own daughter as leverage. The tiny recording device feels heavy in my palm as I stand on Helen's doorstep, forcing a smile I've practiced all morning. She opens the door wearing her signature pearl necklace and concerned expression. Angela, what a surprise. Ryan mentioned you weren't feeling well. Actually, I came to apologize. The words taste like metal. You were right at lunch yesterday. I've been unstable. Her eyes narrow slightly before her face softens. Oh, darling. Come in. I just made tea. Helen's new house, my daughter's future converted into hardwood floors and crown molding, is already filled with family photos. I notice Emma's school picture prominently displayed, while photos of Ryan and Helen dominate the walls. There's not a single image of me. I've been thinking about what you said, I continue, following her into the kitchen. About Emma's future. I'm so glad you're being sensible. She busies herself with the tea service. Ryan was considering having you evaluated, you know. For Emma's safety. My hand brushes against the recorder in my pocket as I set my purse down near the kitchen counter. That won't be necessary. I understand now, family comes first. Exactly. She beams, setting out delicate cups. Ryan always said you were smart when you weren't being emotional. Now, about the housewarming party. Her phone rings. She checks it, frowning. Excuse me, dear. The contractors are being difficult about the backyard renovation. The moment she steps into the other room, I slip the recorder behind a decorative vase. Then I deliberately knock my teacup over. Oh no! I call out. Helen, I'm so sorry. Use the towels under the sink, she calls back, her voice carrying clearly. Yes, I don't care what it costs. Ryan's handling the finances. No, his wife won't be a problem anymore. We've made sure of that. I clean up slowly, listening to her continue her conversation, each word another nail in their coffin. When she returns, I'm the picture of contrition. I should go, I say. But thank you for being so understanding. Of course, dear. She walks me to the door. We're family, after all. Yes, I agree, thinking of the recorder catching every word she'll say once I'm gone. We certainly are. As I drive away, my phone buzzes with a text from Ryan. Mom says you stopped by. Glad you're coming to your senses. Meeting with the lawyer tomorrow about Emma's custody arrangements. Just a precaution. I don't reply. Let them think they've won. Let them talk freely in that house, planning their next moves, while every word builds my case against them. Sometimes the best revenge is simply giving people enough rope to hang themselves. I sit in my car outside Helen's house, listening to the recordings for the third time. Their voices fill the darkness, Helen and Ryan, plotting, laughing, dismantling my life piece by piece. The custody hearing's just a formality, Ryan's voice crackles through my phone's speaker. Judge Matthews owes me for that land deal last year. And Angela? Helen asks. Once we have Emma, she'll have nothing left to fight with. My hands shake as I forward the recordings to my lawyer, along with Mark's documentation of the fraudulent house purchase. Then I text Ryan, we need to talk. All of us. Now. Inside, Helen's hosting one of her bridge nights. Perfect. An audience for what comes next. I don't knock. I use my key, the one they don't know I still have. The conversations stop as I walk into the living room, where 4 women in expensive clothes stare at me like I'm a stain on Helen's new carpet. Angela! Helen's voice rises an octave. This isn't a good time. Actually, it's perfect timing. I pull out my phone. I thought your friends might enjoy hearing about your new house. Especially how you paid for it. Ryan appears from the kitchen, his face darkening. Angela, you're making a scene. No, I'm making evidence. I press play. Their voices fill the room, discussing the fraud, the custody plans, everything. Helen's bridge club shifts uncomfortably. I think we should go, one woman murmurs. Stay, I tell them. You'll want to hear how your friend here helped her son steal her granddaughter's college fund. Then tried to take custody when I discovered the theft. It's not theft, Helen snaps, mask finally cracking. Everything we did was legal. Was it? I turned to Ryan. Should we ask the real estate board about that? Or the IRS? He steps toward me, but I hold up my hand. I've already sent everything to my lawyer. And the ethics board. And the police. You're bluffing, Helen says, but her voice wavers. Try me. I meet her eyes. You wanted a war? Congratulations. You've got one. Ryan grabs my arm. Think about Emma. I am thinking about Emma. I wrench away from him. That's why I'm done playing nice. You have 24 hours to transfer every penny back into her college fund, or I burn your whole world down. As I turn to leave, Helen calls out, You'll destroy this family. I pause at the door, not looking back. No, Helen. You did that the moment you taught your son that stealing from his daughter was acceptable. I'm just making sure everyone knows exactly who you both really are. The door slams behind me, and I finally let myself shake. Tomorrow will bring consequences I can't predict, but for now, I've done what needed to be done. Sometimes protecting your child means being willing to destroy everything else. The deadline comes and goes. I'm packing Emma's overnight bag when my phone buzzes, Mark calling. Angela, Ryan's at the office. He's trying to push through an emergency sale of Helen's house. My hand's still on Emma's favorite pajamas. To who? Another shell company. He's moving the money offshore before you can touch it. I zip the bag closed. How long do I have? Papers are being drawn up now. Once they're signed, I'll be there in 15 minutes. I end the call, then dial Lisa. Can you take Emma for the night? At the real estate office, Mark meets me in the parking lot. They're in the conference room. Helen showed up 10 minutes ago. Perfect. The whole conspiracy in one room. I stride past the receptionist, who doesn't try to stop me. She's seen enough Carter family drama lately. Through the glass walls, I can see Ryan and Helen bent over paperwork, a nervous-looking notary beside them. I push open the door. Sign those papers and I release the recordings to every news outlet in the state. Ryan's pen freezes mid-signature. Helen's face goes pale. You wouldn't, she says. Think of Emma. I am thinking of Emma. That's why I've already sent copies to the ethics board and district attorney. They're just waiting for my go-ahead. Ryan stands slowly. Angela, be reasonable. We can work something out. Like you worked out custody arrangements behind my back? I pull out my phone, showing them the email draft to the media. One button, Ryan. That's all it takes to end your career. Both your careers. Helen lunges for my phone. I step back, watching her compose herself with visible effort. What do you want? She asks. Everything. The house sale reversed. Emma's college fund restored. And you both stay away from us. You can't keep me from my granddaughter. Watch me. I turn to Ryan. Choose right now. Your mother's schemes or your daughter's future. He looks between us, and for the first time, I see something crack in his perfect facade. Mom, he says quietly, enough. Ryan! Helen's voice rises sharply. After everything I've done for you. That's the problem. He drops the pen. Everything you've done. Everything you've made me do. He turns to the notary. We're not proceeding with the sale. Helen makes a sound like she's been struck. You ungrateful. Get out, Mom. Ryan's voice is tired. Just get out. As Helen storms out, Ryan faces me. The money will be back in Emma's account by morning. All of it. I nod once, then turn to leave. Angela? His voice stops me. I'm sorry. I know, I say, not looking back. But sorry isn't enough anymore. Sometimes winning feels exactly like losing. But at least Emma's future is safe. And that's all that ever mattered. The envelope arrives on a Tuesday, tucked between bills and junk mail. Ryan's handwriting, still familiar after everything. Inside, I find a letter and a check, a bonus from his latest property sale, meant for Emma's college fund. I set the check aside and unfold the letter. His words blur together until one line catches my eye. I never meant to become my mother's son. Emma's voice drifts through our new apartment's open windows as she plays with the neighbors' kids in the courtyard below. The sound anchors me, reminds me why I fought so hard. My phone buzzes, Lisa texting about dinner plans. Before I can reply, another message pops up from Mark, Helen's house just listed. She's moving to Florida. I delete both messages without responding. The less I know about Helen and Ryan's lives now, the better. The wall between us needs to stay intact, even if it's built from silence. The doorbell rings. A delivery man holds out a package, Emma's new telescope, the one she's been begging for. The one I can finally afford now that her future is secure again. Mom. Emma races in from outside. Is that it? Let's set it up on the balcony. As we assemble the telescope together, Emma chatters about the constellations she wants to find. Her excitement reminds me of myself at her age, before I learned about betrayal. Before I understood how love and manipulation could twist together like poison vines. Dad called yesterday, she says suddenly, adjusting the focus. He wants to have lunch on Saturday. My hand's still on the telescope mount. Do you want to go? She considers this with a gravity that breaks my heart. Maybe. But only if you're okay with it. What happens between your father and me doesn't change how much he loves you. The words taste less bitter than they used to. You get to make your own choices about family. Emma nods, then points the telescope at the emerging evening star. Look, Mom. First one out tonight. I peer through the lens, seeing not just the star but the future stretching out before us, uncertain, but ours to shape. The check from Ryan sits on the counter inside, neither accepted nor rejected yet. Another choice waiting to be made. Make a wish, Emma says. I watch my daughter's face, illuminated by the last rays of sunlight, and realize I don't need to. Everything that matters is right here, not in the ashes of what we lost, but in the strength of what we saved. Some victories don't look like winning. They look like a mother and daughter building something new, one piece at a time, under an endless sky of possibilities.